The Sunday World newspaper reporting that 3 ANC cabinet ministers allegedly offered to push through an irregular R5 billion UIF deal for kickbacks. Tuja Capital CEO Mngambi alleging that the ministers demanded 500 million rand to pull the deal off. Now Mngambi even claims that he was stalked by fake members of the Hawks. So, what do we make of these allegations? Professor Kedibone Phago is the director at the Northwest University's School of Government Studies. He joins us now for a quick analysis of what we are reading about. Professor, good morning to you. If our country did not have an employment crisis, I suppose this story, it wouldn't make headlines. But here we are with a particular deal that was meant to create some 750,000 jobs. That now has been shelved. Can we start there and talk about how serious government is when they say that they are trying to address unemployment in our country?
Morning, Oli, and thank you so much for the invitation, and good morning to your viewers. Thank you so much for this discussion. It's quite important, and obviously, you know, from your sentiments, I share that very strongly, that it's very disappointing that we are sitting and discussing issues of this nature when we are facing such crisis of unemployment, of service delivery, of governance. So it is indeed something we need to really pay attention to and put our heads together on what would be the best interventions from our current institutions in really investigating this matter and giving us some of the details that we need to know and take forward.
So, Professor, what we need to make clear so that the viewers are not confused, these are allegations. However, there is a caveat, and it is the following, that the Director General of Employment and Labour, Tobile Lamati, has resigned allegedly owing to this jobs scandal. Now, the question is, how important is it either for the minister concerned here, Thulas Nxesi, to come out and address these matters very, very clearly, or perhaps should it be left to the person who communicates on behalf of Cabinet, Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, to address this matter, because it is that important?
Yes. So this matter, you are very right. It is still an allegation, but it has been developing for a while now, and the Cabinet has really not briefed the country in this matter. It's an extremely important matter in many respects, but one key issue is that this is an unemployment insurance fund. If this fund, gets looted, you can just imagine what will happen to many South Africans who have invested and put their money into this scheme. So it's quite an important one. But as you also say, it is really the issues of governance, and we do have instruments in the country that are supposed to be dealing with these issues. And the first, obviously, is that we need to have this matter properly investigated. So for me, if a Director General stands up and say that there are issues, there are problems, it is a very, it should be taken as a very serious issue, especially if the Director General is pointing his finger directly to the politicians. We know the problems of political interference in this country, so they are not new and we should not be surprised. But I think when somebody sits in the position of a Director General and say to us that they are facing this political pressure to act in the interest of individuals and not in the interest of the country. Indeed, the Cabinet should really jump into this and bring us into their confidence. If you and the viewers at home, Xoli, remember the chilling information that came into many of the commissions of inquiry into SARS, into PIC, into even the Zondo Commission. So we have seen this kind of developments, and our impression would have been that something like this should have never repeated itself, because we should have put in some measures in place to find ways to stop this, because it is really something we cannot live with as South Africans.
Let's talk about Mr. Mdwaba, the person whose company has now been, I suppose, deprived of this deal. He is obviously someone with a vested interest. He would have pushed for this deal to go through because, I suppose, according to him, this is in the best interests of the country. How credible is the information coming from him, keeping in mind what I've just said, that he is a person with a vested interest? The fact that he is not shy to come out in the media and say the alarming things that he is saying about very high-profile people, and these are allegations that are leveled against ministers, but apparently middlemen were used. How forthcoming should he be with that information to tell us this is middlemen so-and-so and they were representing Minister X? That's where I'm trying to drive this conversation, that how forthcoming should he be with information, given that it does appear that he is someone who wants to come out and tell the truth?
So, the issues of corruption really are highly multi-layered and always very complex to unpack, especially because they are often propped up by people in very powerful positions. So it's always very difficult to actually connect the dots and find proper linkages on who is right in what way. And for me, what is very necessary, and I think this should also be of interest for our viewers at home, that we need a state capacity in our state security agencies to be able to investigate these issues, these allegations properly. If this matter is reported to Public Service Commission, for example, if this matter is reported to the Public Protector, if this matter is presented before the police, perhaps we can, find some level of professionalism in terms of how this could be dealt with. Because in a democracy like ours, we cannot just take somebody's word, even if they are well-meaning, because of the complex nature of the problems that we are dealing with. But it is quite important that we pay attention to these kind of developments and say what are the issues and what should be the processes involved. But having said that, I think what is even more compelling for us is to understand the fact that many of the politicians, many of the civil servants have in the past and continue to do business with government, despite the fact that there are policies that say that they should not be doing that. As you are saying that, correctly saying that they are using some proxies to do this kind of businesses. So it tells us that we need to go back to the drawing board as a country and revise our policies and really put in punitive as well as measures that can help us to prevent this. So in one form, we need to say, what are the preventative measures we should put in place to make sure that people are aware of corruption and its consequences? But also, on the other hand, we should say those who are found in the cookie jar need to really receive the wrath of the law, so that those who are watching are really aware that once you are found, you will be taken to task on this.
Professor Kedibone Phago is with the University of the Northwest School of Government Studies. Thank you very much for your analysis of this situation.